darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Hello and welcome to another GenXplainers podcast. Today it's The Perfect Song, and we'll be looking at a song by Simon and Garfunkel. It's The Sound of Silence. And let's just say hello to our panel. Hey, guys, how's it going?
Hello, how you doing?
Hello to you.
This particular song was chosen by an AI inquiry on my part. It was listed when I asked what songs can be considered perfect songs, and this one came up. This song was released in October of 1964, the original acoustic version. It was on the album Wednesday Morning, 3 a.m. by Simon and Garfunkel. This is actually the song that they, at least one of the songs that they demoed to score the deal with Columbia Records that put out that first album. And it's written by Paul Simon. And it was actually remixed. The original was an acoustic version. It was actually remixed with electric guitars and percussion by their producer, Tom Wilson, unbeknownst to them. And that electric version, because he sensed that this sort of folk rock thing, things were changing in the scene. You know, he also worked on Bob Dylan's Bring It All Back Home, where he started using electric guitar. So things were changing. The times they were changing. So he said, you know what, we're gonna add this electric guitar and percussion to Sound of Silence and put it out. And they did, and that is the one that went to number one. Because the first one was not doing very well, the acoustic version from the first album. It was kind of just lying there. And it started to get some attention, and that's when he put out the electric version, and it just took off. So that's the one that hit number one.
In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp.
What year did The Graduate come out?
It was like a year, actually, that was 68, I believe. It might be
Okay.
about.
All right, so the song was already known before that. Okay.
Yes, yeah, that electric version. The electric
67.
version, yeah.
All right.
It climbed up to number one in 66, the electric version,
All right.
Sound of Silence. And it was actually on their second album, which was called Sounds of Silence. They're really cashing in on that song.
Their third album, The Silence of Sound.
Yeah. So a tiny bit of trivia about it. It was written by, like I said, Paul Simon, and he used to sit in the bathroom with the light off to write songs and play guitar. And so that line, the opening line, "Hello, darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk to you again," I think it's directly from him sitting on the toilet in the dark saying, well, I got to start this song somehow. So that's how we're going to do it.
Well, I'm going to go sit in the toilet while we record then. In the dark.
Oh,
that's
we're
where
not supposed to?
Oopsie.
Oopsie.
That's where true inspiration comes from. On the pot.
Oh, man, this would be great to do that way.
They'd be really echoey and really cool sounding. But so as far as like the actual meaning of the song, I think a lot of people were, applying it to what was going on with the Vietnam War and internationally and stuff. But he was saying, well, it's also about people connecting emotionally, just one-on-one and actually talking to each other.
One of the biggest hang-ups we have today is the inability of people to communicate, not only on an intellectual level, but on an emotional level as well. So you have people unable to touch other people, unable to love other people. And this is a song about the inability to communicate. It's called The Sounds of Silence.
So that's kind of some trivia around it. There's lots of trivia like around it and lore, but that's all I'll say now. And I'll just give you my take on it. This probably isn't one I would think to offer up as a candidate, but listening to it, and of course I've heard it many, many times over the years. I likely heard it on the radio when I was, in my late, like 9, 10, whatever. and throughout my life. And I think let's talk about sort of, I mean, there's acoustic and the electric version. I kind of am thinking, let's just talk about both of them. I mean, one or the other. They're pretty, I mean, the only difference is they've added a drums and electric track to it. It's the actual same recording as the acoustic, just with stuff laid on top. So I'll say that I think it's actually a really good song. I think as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate sort of what it's doing, and I can contextualize it in like when it was written. I remember, I do have a memory of it when we were in high school. I think it was sophomore year. My English teacher, who, man, I believe it was Miss Given. Was that a high school English teacher? Anyone remember? We all went to high school together. Anyway,
not one I had, but
yeah. Although sophomore year, Alan, you weren't there yet, right? You came junior
no,
year.
I was there.
Oh, you were there. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah. No, Al and I were in the same classes together.
Okay. Anyway, the English teacher I had, we were in the poetry sort of section of study for the year, and she handed out the lyrics to this song, Sound of Silence, and said, let's read this. Well, she actually didn't even say, oh, it's a song. She said, oh, let's read this poem. And we read through it and we did our like poetry, whatever, you know, or whatever the studying was. And afterwards she sort of like, that's a song. Like it was like a gotcha, you know, and no one really cared. But anyway, and then she played it for us. And we were listening to it and said, oh, okay, yeah, it's a song. And the lyrics were like a poem, you know. So I guess point was taken.
And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening.
So before I talk about any kind of analysis of the song deeply, let me ask you guys about your history with the song. If you have any notion of when you maybe heard it, when you were younger, what you thought of it. And let's start with Al.
I probably heard this song in the late 70s. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe we actually had a copy of this at the house. And I don't know if it was like a best of Simon and Garfunkel or if it was the actual album, or if it was from the soundtrack. I can't recall. I do remember we had the vinyl record, and I remember liking it then. I don't think I was really strongly moved by it as a young boy. I do like the build of it, you know, and I remember liking that. But yeah, that's my memory of when I first heard it.
Yeah, not to be too like throwback to the times we were in high school together, but the first way I really remember the song was from one of Matt's girlfriends.
Well, she was your friend. She was all of our friends too. I mean, she was a friend. She was
know,
in the friend group.
But I didn't really know Simon Garfunkel until her.
Sure. Actually, that's true. That's one of the things about her. She loved Simon and Garfunkel.
Loved Simon Garfunkel, and she played them a lot when we went over to hang out at her house. So that's really how I know the song.
Okay.
That and Prince. It was Simon Garfunkel and Prince.
That's an interesting combo.
Yes.
I know. And so that my takes on the song are, well, my recollection and the memories of that song are to those times we were all over at the house nearby, and so we would hear that in the background, and that's what I remember of the song. I know the song obviously over the years, but that was really my first take on it. So
yeah, okay. So let me go ahead and just run through my sort of reactions about the song itself. Obviously, Simon and Garfunkel, famous for their harmonies, their vocal harmonies, and they're in this song as well. They're really nice. And yeah, the lyrics are they're very poetic. They're very, lots of imagery and like, you know, it's not like, no, it's poetry like, I'll put it that way, very poet. And I'll have to say the electric version, the second version, where they add the percussion and electric guitar, it does, make it more kind of radio friendly, and it does build more. I think Al, you mentioned it, kind of how it builds. It's the electric one that really builds.
Mhm.
Like, while I like both versions, I think I might like the electric version maybe a little more, although knowing how it came about kind of like makes it kind of weird. But at the same time, what I like about the song doesn't really change because they added those instrumentations. And I think the imagery uh, is very effective. And the build of emotion does work.
Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell.
For those reasons, I actually really do like the song. How about you guys? What are your feelings on the song itself?
I like the acoustic version more.
Okay.
I like the toned down version. I like it's more the quiet moments for me work better. And so for me, that's the thing. And I'm sure that I'm associating it with the movie, with The Graduate, a lot, and that's the version they use. So I'm sure that has an influence on how I'm thinking of the song, because it's so ingrained in my mind of like that's goes with the movie. So it's hard for me to separate the two between The Graduate and the song itself. So that's really how I feel about it. I think it's a really great song. But I tend to like the more quiet version than I do the redone version. How about that?
Sure. What you, Al?
I, for one, have never seen The Graduate. I've seen scenes from it.
What?
Are you all right, Mike?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that. I just want to react that way.
Okay. No, it's fair. I mean, it's a very famous movie. I haven't seen Citizen Kane either.
What?
Hey, arrest me. I have, however, seen most of the Mission Impossible films. So I don't know what that says about me.
And you've seen Big Trouble in Little China. So that's all that
Oh my
matters.
God, I've seen that so many times. I made sure my kids saw it.
I can't wait till we do that episode.
Yes.
And we will. Anyway.
Sharpen their knives, huh? My favorite line from that movie. Anyway, so I'm actually less familiar with the acoustic version. That's the reason I mentioned, because this isn't really about The Graduate. And I think maybe it's just familiarity, but I prefer the electric version. And sometimes the person who writes the song isn't necessarily the best to decide.
Yeah, and I think in this case, like I kind of mentioned, is like that's the one that really took off. That's the one that the electric version.
Yeah.
That's the one that got the radio play. And I think even Paul Simon admitted, like when he first heard it with the band, he was a little bit alarmed. And I think he mentioned that he was a little freaked out that he could hear the band trying to keep slowing down to keep the tempo of the acoustic recording. And so he was a little bit like, freaked out about that. But I think in the end, he was fine with it. And I know Art Garfunkel, he was completely down with it because it worked and it got them to number one. He's like, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Tom. So, and I like you said, the producer has a lot to do with how the song's received. I mean, he kind of knew what he was doing, I guess,
The producer knows what the radio wants.
Yeah. And there were stories that when they would perform the acoustic version in the early days, and even after they released it on the first album and they were touring with it, it became kind of a joke. A lot of people kind of laughed at it because it was so, quote, earnest, and some of the, the lyrics were so poetry-like. And I think turning it electric maybe helped that a little bit. I mean, in the end, they didn't care. They thought it was fine if people thought it was corny or whatever. But I mean, the proof was in the eventual pudding. It's a huge song. It's still thought of on kind terms. And again, it comes up AI is telling me that it's true, so it must be.
Well, and as I've said before on this podcast, I like to play the songs to my kids just to get like the opinion of someone who's never heard it before, doesn't know so much about music history. But both my kids already knew this because it's also a cover of it is on the Trolls soundtrack. So
That's right. Yeah. See,
But I do want to know
another lease on life.
I do want to know what AI thinks of pudding.
It thinks it's good for proving things.
Okay, good.
The theory of relativity. Well, start cooking the pudding. Anyway,
AI pudding.
I feel like I don't know either of you.
yeah. All right. Before we get to the vote, anything else we want to say about this song or Simon and Garfunkel or anything?
Generally speaking, I am more of a fan of Paul Simon than Simon and Garfunkel, although I'm not a fan of them.
Yeah,
Generally,
I agree with that. I like Paul Simon. He's very tiny.
but Art Garfunkel's a great singer, has a great voice, and as you said, Matt, their harmonies are fantastic.
Spot on. So, okay, Bridge Over Troubled Water is the example of a fantastic Art Garfunkel vocal. Now, and I don't know this, did he write any of the songs? Art Garfunkel. Was it all Paul Simon?
I actually don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure folks out there do and will correct us. I really like a lot of Paul Simon's solo stuff, which came out in the 70s as well, like later on. But, really good songs there.
And Art Garfunkel did not, in fact, write any of their songs. He was not a songwriter. He was a song singer.
I mean, that makes sense because after they broke up, he didn't see Art Garfunkel solo. At least I didn't.
No, he was in a movie.
Oh, yes, he was. Oh, what
he was in
that?
A movie called Bad Timing, A Sensual Obsession or something like that.
Really? I thought he was in something else too. Kind of a more famous one. Was he in like Carol, Ted, something, and Alice or something? Was he in that?
I don't know. I never saw it.
I was going to Google it up because he's the man.
We know Paul Simon was in a movie.
Yeah, at least one.
With some cocaine.
So you still love New York, huh? Oh, so dirty. It's gotten so dirty.
But yeah, no, I like Paul Simon's solo stuff. I think Graceland's one of the best albums.
That is a good album.
And so like, yeah, I do like I do like the Paul Simon.
A string of 70s hits. Immediately Down by the Schoolyard.
Great song.
Kodachrome. There's tons of them. There's tons of them. Real good ones.
I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way. I'm taking my time, but I don't know where. Goodbye to Rose, the queen of Corona. See me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
Art Garfunkel was in Catch-22.
That's what I was thinking of. Catch-22.
Carnal Knowledge.
Oh, okay. That's Nicholson's in that.
That's the one you were trying to think of because you said the Bob Carroll, Ted, and Alice kind of thing. He was in that, which is a very similar kind of movie.
This is the first time I've ever been to a college mixer.
Me too. I hate them.
I hate them too.
It's such a phony way of meeting people.
Everybody puts on an act.
So even if you meet somebody, you don't know who you're meeting.
Because you're meeting the act.
That's right, not the person.
I'm not sure I agree.
With what?
With what you said.
No, I don't either.
You don't agree with what you said?
How do you feel about it?
And as I said, Bad Timing, A Sensual Obsession, which is a very long title for a film.
It is.
I'll skip a couple others. She's also in Boxing Helena.
Oh, wait,
wow.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Which I have not seen, but yeah.
That's funny. A little later. Okay,
it's not a great movie.
Okay, well, so Art got some work acting. Good for him. Good for Art. We hope you're enjoying this GenXplainers podcast. Please remember to find us and follow us on social media. And we'd much appreciate a 5-star rating on the podcast platform of your choice. Now, let's get back to the show.
And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, the tenement halls, whispering sounds of silence.
So, okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's take the vote. I'll go ahead and start. Again, this is an AI choice.
Mhm.
And listening to it again now and thinking about the song itself and like in context of the time and even now as I just listen to it as a song as an island, I feel like the music and the vocal harmonies are strong and really do still resonate. And I think the lyrics are kind of poetic and ambiguous enough that they don't date the song. He's not mentioning, Vietnam or something or whatever.
Mhm.
So, you know what? I actually going to say yes on this one. I'm going to say yes. I think it's a perfect song.
I actually am going to probably put some I'm
Pants
gonna
on?
I'm gonna put some pants on. No, I'm gonna say it was a perfect song for the time.
Okay.
But I don't think for me it has longevity. How about that?
Okay.
I don't think it resonates as much as it does when I was younger. And
Are you saying
that's,
you don't sit on the toilet in the dark nowadays?
well, maybe
We
a
know.
little, maybe a
We
little bit.
know. We
Well,
know.
only when I come over to your house.
Oh, okay. That's
But yeah, I am gonna say not a perfect song because hey, timeless. It's not
I
there.
know
It's
that's
not
the
there.
mic checkbox.
That's the mic checkbox. That's not timeless for me.
Okay.
I think it's great for the time though.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth on this. I think the fact that it has been covered, and the fact that it is in the Trolls movie, not specifically the Trolls movie, but the fact that it is something that is returned to by another generation kind of speaks to it being maybe a perfect song. The actual recording that we're talking about, as you said, the music and the harmonies work together very beautifully. It is very poetic. It's hard for me to say it's a perfect song because I think it's kind of a snooze fest for me.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remove my own subjective experience a little, I guess. I still don't really know what a perfect song is, quote unquote. But
We'll never know. But we're
no.
going to discuss it forever.
Sure, we're going to try. But I am going to come out on the side of saying no. I'm going to say nice try, AI, but
Nice try.
but not perfect. Very good, great even.
All right.
And of its time for sure.
Yeah. All
The
right.
Skynet has not won yet.
Not yet.
No.
But once this content is analyzed and archived by AI, it will know who its enemies are.
When AI says, "Oh, here's the perfect song," it's Stigmata by Ministry, then we'll know it has learned.
Then we'll know it's reached its potential. Well, I just want to say, future AI, I think you did a great job.
I don't think me or my progeny should suffer.
Please leave me alive.
Please don't cut off the air or water. All right. Well, there you go. Sound of Silence. Yeah, check it out if you'd like. If you want to, relax in your toilet and fall asleep on the toilets.
We may each go do that now.
But thank you for listening in any event. And thanks to the panel. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Al.
You're welcome.
And we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.